much. Of course, your free download, your iHeartRadio app makes us worldwide. And we go live streaming. We got cameras set up in the studio. If you'd like to live stream with us, go ahead and find us on Real Estate on Facebook, live streaming it, and YouTube. Great source of a ton of informational chunk videos. And we live stream every Saturday on our YouTube page. That's Florida Talk Real Estate LLC on YouTube. Great to have you with us. We got a toll-free number. You got questions? Florida Real Estate, dial it up, 877-927-6969. The first voice you'll hear, the melodious tones of our producer extraordinaire, Jimothy. Good morning, my brother. Nice to see you, my friend. Always good to have you with us on a Saturday. That is your toll-free number. Jimothy will line you up. Make the call. We'll take that call. And, of course, if you're not comfortable, always remember Florida Talk Real Estate is a .com. Your one-stop real estate shop. You can talk to the team off the air. I'm your boy, Johnny C., Air Traffic Control. Ross Komarinetz with Brightway Insurance. Juno Beach is with us on a Saturday. How are you, my friend?
Juno, that's right, my friend.
You know it. It's nice to see you.
You too.
And, of course, our friend Jimmy D, our fearless leader for over 11 years. I've told you he runs a top-producing Keller Williams team. Keller Williams Innovations. You find the Florida Home Pros team. And my God, Jimmy D. Jim DePaula, how you be?
I'm doing good. Happy South Florida, everybody.
Yeah, it is.
I'm really glad to be here in the studio today. Man, I'm telling you, this equipment is getting less and less. I'm just loving it. I don't have all the major setup. I came a half hour late today. I was like, uh-oh, this isn't good.
Uh-oh.
I was like, uh-oh.
And you're good to go. You were ready to go when I got here.
Yeah, no headaches for you.
I don't got suns like in my face.
Yeah, you don't feel like you got blister in the sun.
Yeah, I used to travel with like 3 or 4 suns.
I know how many pounds. How many pounds of stuff do I got sitting over there?
Yeah, you did trim it down, and everything still works well on the streams.
I
like
hope
nothing's
so.
Good. Glad to hear.
If anybody has any complaints about the streaming, let me know.
Yeah, call Jimothy 877-927-6969. Might as well.
So,
or Bobby Brown. You decide.
And good morning, everybody on Facebook and YouTube. If you could, just do me a favor, make sure, I'd like to know the videos, audio's working. So give me a thing online and tell me the audio's working. Thanks.
Thank you.
Got a lot to talk about today. A lot of it I don't understand myself. So thank God we have Ross here to answer the questions, because I have no idea what's going on with this.
You know it.
I thought there was big news. It's like all over the place. And Ross is like, we've been talking about this for a long time. I'm like, we have?
We have.
Yeah. So Citizens Insurance is trying to up the ante on pricing pretty significantly. And we're going to talk a little bit about that.
You say trying. I thought it was happening. We're going to find out together.
That's my understanding. It's a request, right?
Well, so I just want to
Understand what significantly is.
Yeah, what is significant?
50%.
Ooh,
That would be significant, right?
I would classify that.
That would be significant.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to get into that. So look,
Oh,
if
boy.
you own a house and you have or a condo or a townhome and you have property insurance,
Yeah.
okay, and you have to have it, you gotta listen to this segment when we talk about it. So you got to stay tuned on this.
Oh,
Catch
boy.
it later.
I'll be
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah.
Oh, you're
because
going to pay attention to
I,
this one.
this one I'm
Yeah.
gonna. Yeah.
Well,
Because
to
sometimes
be-
I look over and those eyes are.
Yeah. Most times. Most times. Yeah, but I do have property insurance, and I am gonna be listening.
Yeah, people don't know I have a little stick under the table. When it's time for Johnny Talk, I
Right.
poke him. I poke him with the stick. Hey, it's your turn.
It's a little shot collar. Oh, 877-927-6969. Florida Talk Real Estate.
I should
Don't
do that.
tase me, bro.
That was from my alma mater. I'm very proud of that.
That
That
dude
happened
was
at
a gator,
UF.
huh?
He was-
Yeah.
it happened at UF.
Yeah, that's right. Don't tease me, bro.
Don't face me, bro. You have to be pretty. Maybe millennials will get it, but I don't think so. I think you gotta be.
So he was. what
Oh,
was
you got it.
do you remember the details of that? He was like speaking to some council or something. What was the details of that?
I
I
don't
thought he
remember-
interrupted. I thought he was kind of like protesting some sort of
Okay, makes
Yeah.
sense.
goings on. I don't know. That was my.
Well, I know they were
yeah.
hauling him out, and he was definitely not wanting to be tased.
Yeah.
Right.
I believe you mentioned it.
That's funny. So yeah, so what I remember is I thought, you might be right, Ross, but I thought it was like a student government meeting, like for student council, and he was there, as a spectator.
Right.
But maybe it was an event and he was trying to protest. It was like, the pre-woke or whatever you
Well,
want to
it
call
was,
it.
yeah,
The cancel
pre-woke.
pre-cancel culture.
No, for sure. Yeah.
Me and Jimothy were talking about cancel culture and how crazy everything is. And I was like, the first cancel culture I can remember is Married with Children. Remember Fox News with Fox TV with Married with Children,
Yeah,
and everybody
yeah,
went
it's a
nuts
big one. Yeah.
about the Bundy family.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You remember when Fox was like,
I know.
Fox, look at the programming they put on.
I know.
Man,
It's so risque.
Family Guy. Fox.
Yeah. It's so crazy. And now they're the family channel.
Yeah.
So it's funny. Okay. We're also going to be talking about the we're also going to be talking about the economic times that we're going through. It's kind of so crazy. I read a report that says the stock market is now officially in a bull market. This is like, we've been talking about recession now for how long, and now we're in a bull market. So I don't know if this is like the final throws before we actually go into it. What'd you say?
I said that was quick.
That's quick.
What, 18 months?
I mean, what were we ever officially in like?
No, we.
Exactly.
That's
Like
what
it
I'm
was
saying.
like did we touch it? Was that like
Not even? Yeah, we're not even there yet. But now all of a sudden we're in a bull market. Everybody, like last week we were talking about, are we going to be in a recession now for the 18th month in a row? And then this week it's like, oh, we're in a bull market. So we're going to talk about that a little.
I hate when we always convolute the stock market with the actual market, right? Like how things are going, because it's all speculation in the stock market. I mean, it's just a tough kind of marry.
It is. And the other thing I read, I was getting kind of wonky on the, like, how could we be in a bull market and everybody worrying about a recession? So I started reading everybody's theories about, what they think is going on.
Sure.
But the thing I found interesting about the recession, they say that the recession is going to hit 3 parts of the economy very severely, and the rest of it isn't going to be affected so much. So we're going to get into those 3 components and see what that would look like to regular people, like the guys in this room right now.
Well, you better remember to bring that
and
back
then see.
up.
So we're going to figure it out. We're going to talk about that. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Right.
Like, just when everybody thinks recession, they always think housing. They always think layoffs and unemployment.
Yeah.
That's what they think of a recession, but it isn't necessarily always like that. And that's the part I learned. It was kind of interesting when I read it. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And let me see. So we're going to start. Oh, we're also going to talk about the Miami party house that is being sued. I wrote on the streaming that I called it Miami party house under arrest. But it's not really under arrest, but they are getting severe code enforcement fines, hundreds of dollars a day, racking up tens of thousands of dollars of fines for being a party house down in Miami. So we're going to talk about that. I thought that'd be a fun story.
they don't party down in Miami?
Apparently, if you party too much, you get fines every day. It's like Miami's changed a lot from when I was growing up. I don't remember that happening. But I want to do the shout outs first. We've had such a busy 2 weeks with the Florida Home Pros, my team with Keller Williams Innovations. Thank you, everybody, for choosing to work with us. Knocking on wood, everybody seems to be extra happy as to the results they're getting right now, which I'm really happy to see. I think we put up like 5 houses on the market since the day before Memorial Day weekend. They're all gone.
That's a good thing.
Pretty much, they're all gone. 3 of them sold in 3 days. The other 2 were laggards, and I think it was 12 days or less.
Oh,
yeah, I know it's screwing up.
Less than desirable properties, evidently.
Yeah.
12 days.
Well, not too less because
what the heck?
Because 4 of the 5 got either 100 to 102% of list price. Okay, so county average right now is 94, 96%. We got between 100 and 102%. One house we got 98.9.
What's the Florida Home Pros number? We like 98%? Is that your number?
Yeah, it's pretty much, we're very close to 98%. If you go through all the houses we sold over the last 12 months, we're in the 98%. Even when the prices were dropping and what we're talking about is list price to sold price, right? Original list price too, not the last list price. So if you dropped it 5 times and then you sold it 98% to that price, that's not the real price. So everybody's been pretty happy. A lot of funny negotiations with the properties that we had. and a lot of things I learned about bad habits of realtors. And me and Nancy, my office manager at my office, who's been with me for 11 years, God bless her, everybody loves Nancy.
If you like the movie Stripes, we call her Sergeant Holka.
Yes,
she's the big toe.
She's the big toe.
She's the big toe.
So me and Nancy were talking about how many calls we got from agents. We were just inundated with calls. One of our houses got 39. We talked about it last week, but we had 39 showings in 3 days. We had 9 offers. I felt like it was 18 months ago, right? And then we had another house we put on the market the same exact hour as that house, and we only had 2 showings in the same time. We had 2 blind offers because it was a lower price point. We had two blind offers, which are investor offers where they never come look at your house. They just throw the offer in.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we rejected those right away. And but that house was sold within 9 days, and we had above list price offers on it, and we took one of them.
Excellent.
So even though it didn't have 39 showings, it still got list or higher, right? And the other one that had 39 showings and 9 offers, we got the list, but not higher. The reason why we didn't go higher for that one is I didn't think it was going to price. I thought that we were kind of like, well, how high do you want to go? Why don't we just ask 150,000 above appraised value, right? And it wasn't going to work. So because everything is financed. So one couple of habits I saw that I really was like, really, I can't believe people, like, I feel bad actually sometimes for people that don't know what their realtor is doing behind the scenes. And you don't know how many phone calls we got in the last week where this was the conversation. Ring, ring. Florida Home Pros with Keller Williams. How can we help you? Yes, I'm looking at 123 Main Street. They don't tell you they're a realtor, not a realtor or anything, right? But we're talking about a realtor, right? Or a real estate agent. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yes, I'm talking about 123 Main Street. Do you have any offers on the property yet? Yes, we have. It's a multiple offer situation. Please bring your highest and best first time. Oh, okay, never mind. And then they hang up. Swear my hand to God, it happens all the time. It used to happen back in the day. I haven't seen it as much because when we had such a frenzy all the time, realtors had to throw in offers like spaghetti and hope it stuck on the wall, right? But now, if they feel there's other offers, they don't even show the property. And I'm thinking from the buyer's perspective, right?
Ooh.
If they want to see houses, if their realtor told them, anytime somebody says that they have multiple offers or there's offers on the property, we're not going to go look at those properties at all. Not under contract, by the way, just offers turned in.
Yeah.
They never ask, are the offers great? Or are they horrible? Are they cash? Are they financed? You know, all of that stuff. Nah. Okay, never mind. Thank you. Click.
Huh.
And I'm like, wow.
Yeah. What if that was your buyer's dream house? You didn't give them a chance.
I don't understand. And that's a very lazy habit for realtors. And, you know, it's just a poor habit. And there's a lot of bad habits realtors have.
Well, I think you say lazy is probably the main reason there.
I'm probably being mean. I know there's a lot of realtors right now giving me the finger.
And they may know they're not good at negotiating. Like some people know their strengths and weaknesses. Some have no clue. But some people do know. And they might realize, like, I can't negotiate my way out of a wet paper bag. Like, the last thing I'm going to do is put myself in a position where I have to negotiate a deal, which clearly indicates they're in the wrong field.
Yeah, they're in the wrong field.
For sure. But it could be that scenario where they're like, look, if I'm not, you know, if I got any competition, I have no chance, and I'm not even going to waste my time.
And then
that's sad.
Yeah, it really is. Oh. And then we have the flip side. These buyers out there right now that are desperately looking for a property, but they're going about it completely wrong way. We had 2 examples of this on 2 different houses. One of the houses, the 39 showings in 3 days with the 9 offers. That property, we had 2 buyers calls up unrepresented, and one of them was a gentleman, and he felt pretty confident he knew what he was doing, but he said it was a residential property. It wasn't an investment property for him, and that he was he wanted to go see the house, and he was like, and I want to see it right now. Right. And I go, are you represented by an agent? And they go, no. And I said, if you were to buy the house, you know, what kind of financing, or are you going to buy cash? And we discussed that, told him what we needed from him if we were going to, and we'd be happy to show him the property. And we have multiple offers right now. So when you come out, we don't have much time, so you really got to get out today because tomorrow we're going to be negotiating the offers. So he said, okay, made an appointment, set him up to go out there. And then 45 minutes before he was supposed to get there, he blew us off. Right. And then he called back a couple hours later and said that he was ready to see the property. Well, we weren't doing that at that point. This guy didn't have any proper identification. You know, he said he was going to bring it. Then he said he didn't have it. Then he blew us off. And he also called us back on the Tuesday and he said, I'd really like to see that house. And I said, I'm sorry, it's sold. And I said, let me ask you a question. What are the benefits of you working by yourself and not going to work with a full-time agent? It looks like you need a full-time agent working for you. So they're finding the properties for you and they're being aggressive in getting you out there. And if you couldn't get out there, if you had worked with us as a team member and you couldn't get out there and you had hired us, we would have went out there and done a FaceTime video, or we would have done a private YouTube video so you could have seen everything that was going on, so that if you wanted to turn an offer, you would have been in the pool of buyers. And he was like, well, I think I'm going to get a better deal if I just work directly with the listing agent. And a lot of people feel that way. And sometimes it does happen that way. But in today's market, it's very hard to get a listing. And it's very hard to get a listing. The inventory is very, very low. So what do you think of an agent, especially not seasoned agents, but because we have the average agent in Florida is going to do 8 to 10 deals a year. Okay. Right. So if you're one of those agents and you're going up for a listing and I'm talking to you, Johnny, and I want to get your listing, what am I telling you in order for you to hire me?
Then I'm going to get you the most.
Right. I'm going to get the most money, right? I'm going to get you the most money.
That's probably the opening.
And you signed a legal agreement with me, right? I've signed a legal agreement with you saying I'm going to sell your house, and we set a price and we set a real estate commission, right? And we've done all that before the buyer, we even knew who the buyer was, right? Now these buyers come in and they think, oh, I'm going to be able to get a deal because there's only going to be one real estate agent working in this. And in Florida, you're allowed to do that because it's called transaction brokering, getting a little in the weeds here. But that's where a agent is allowed to legally facilitate a deal between a willing buyer and a willing seller, one person, right? But you have to keep fiduciary responsibility and you got to keep confidence. So if you tell me, Johnny, hey, I'm putting it on the market for 800,000, but I'll take 750.
Yeah, you can't tell the other side.
I can't tell Ross.
Right, he's going to take 750.
Yeah, he's going to take 750. And Ross says, hey, turn in 750, but I don't want to lose the house. I'll pay the 800. I can't tell Johnny that, right?
Right.
So that's how you have to work it. But at the same time, people think they're just going to come in and it's going to be automatic discounts, and that the seller is going to be willing to discount the house because there's less real estate commission paid. And what they're not taking into consideration is the relationship between the listing agent and the seller has already been established, but also they don't know what other offers are behind. And if you have all these other offers and you're going in there going, well, I don't have an agent. Well, we had 9 offers, like on the property that we were talking about where the guy didn't show up. We had 9 offers on that property. So a person walking in and saying, well, I don't have an agent, I'm expecting a discount. And just walking in, they're expecting that. They're not even on the same level as the other people that have already turned in the offers, most probably, right? Because we got very tight numbers on that house, for example, right? We were only within $10,000 plus or minus of the list price because we were right on where it was, right? So buyers, this is still a very competitive market. You need a full-time agent out there looking for you all the time because
one thing,
the
that
inventory is so
transaction
low.
broker, if they set the commission at 6% and it's only him, he's getting the full 6, right?
Yes, but sometimes, and you have to put this in the listing, but sometimes, like I work out deals sometimes where ahead of time I say, if I end up finding the buyer myself, I'll automatically reduce the commission to the seller automatically.
So, but at the end of the day, the guy that's saying, well, I don't have a real estate agent, so I'm going to get a better deal because there's only one realtor involved. Well, that just means the realtor is getting all of the commission instead of splitting it.
Yeah,
right?
and they don't understand that part. Now, it's still negotiable. So like the seller and the listing agent could say, "Well, you do reduce the commission more in order to get this guy's price and stuff." You could still do
Right.
that.
Sure.
But you've already kind of mapped that out, and I'm always very clear in my listings. Anybody listening to me that's been on a listing, been invited me for a listing appointment, they're probably laughing right now because we talk about the commissions in very great detail and what I will and won't do. So I tell them up front how cases where I will reduce the commission if it's needed and if I feel it's needed and I feel the seller's working with me, right? And where I won't reduce the commission, right? And I tell them straight up. So
Right.
there's no questions. So don't fall to trap thinking that that's going to be a deal. You're kind of looking for a peanut in a haystack, maybe not a
the needle.
a needle.
I like peanuts.
Yeah, I like peanuts too. I like peanuts too, but they're a little bigger, a little bulkier. You can find them a little faster, right?
Yeah, because kind of doesn't it maybe incentivize the listing agent to be like, well, I'll just take this offer. It's a little bit low.
Well,
know
that's
what I mean?
that's what they're trying to accomplish when they turn it like the blind offers. Almost all of them say, "I want you to be my agent," right? So that's what they're trying to do is induce you to take that.
But
And
what do you? I mean, that's only going down by like 1-2%. It's not like
Yeah,
a
it isn't-
huge savings.
yeah,
you know?
and yes, that's 100% true. And the other thing is with that is the other conceptual component of that part is that you have to really trust the agent that they're going to be highly ethical through everything. Because if I'm the buyer's agent and I know that they have, if I'm the buyer and I know that the listing agent has a contractual relationship with the seller, and I understand today's market, how hard it is to get a listing, you got to trust that agent that they're going to do all the right things, and they should, because we're under strict regulations. So like what happens if the seller knows that the roof is past the useful life, but doesn't want to tell anybody before the inspection period, somebody goes in a contract, right? And we know that that's going to come out in the wash, but the seller says, "Jim, don't tell anybody that," right? I have to do that anyway. By regulation, I'm supposed to disclose anything that could materially affect the value of the property that's not readily observable. And I have to do that whether Johnny tells me not to do it or not.
Right.
But that's if you're doing it the right way.
Right.
So what happens, with all the other agents out there that might not be as ethical or might be desperate for a commission? Somebody was talking to me recently, one of the customers talking to me about their experience before they worked with us and when they bought their house, and that the inspection went a little wackadoo and they were not sure they wanted to buy the property, and the agent just pushed and pushed the buyer, and this is the buyer's agent, pushed the buyer into buying the house anyway.
Oh.
And made it sound like he had no outs. And when I went over the contract for his deal and I explained everything page by page, the 12th page as his contract, we were going over one of his offers. He was like, "My agent, when I bought my house, none of this happened." None
Damn
of it. And he goes, "She just told me I had to close. It didn't matter that the repairs, I wanted to negotiate the repairs. You can't negotiate the repairs. It's an as is contract, got to close." Well, the year he bought was a weak year, meaning like not a lot of sales, stuff like that. And it sounded to me like the agent just wanted the commission,
Yeah.
and they weren't worried about the person. So
Not at
anyway,
all.
yeah. So the thing is don't make rookie mistakes. Understand the value of having a full-time person working on your side. They should, if you're a buyer, they should be giving you comps before you turn in offers on properties so that you know what the other people are paying for in the neighborhood and not just telling you to turn in an offer. We're way past the days of just give them full asking price and a short inspection period.
Unless it's your listing.
No, yeah. I had 39. Yeah, except for that, a couple of houses. Yeah, but you have time to do it the right way, and you should be getting comps. And if your realtor all the time is saying, just give them the full asking, in today's market, that's not today's market. Sometimes you do have to give full asking. Okay. If the house has 39 showings and 9 offers, give them your highest and best. But there's lots of houses on the market, 60, 90, 100, 150 days.
Let me ask you a question. What if somebody is working with a realtor right now and they've signed a contract with them, they got an agreement, and they are like right now, you're just making them nod their head. They're like, "Man, it's like you're talking about my agent.
Mm-hmm.
And in this moment, they're like, I don't want to work with this person anymore. How do you get out of that contract?
It depends. So when you take a listing in Florida, you have to sign what's called an listing agreement. Now, usually what we always use is this exclusive right of listing, right? So you're hiring the agent to be your full-time person to sell the house. And whether somebody comes in with the representation, without representation, if you decide to advertise it on for sale by owner, I'm the agent, right? And
sure.
I have
how
to
do I get
everything.
how do I get out of that agreement?
Well, the reason why I started with that was because each agreement could be written differently. So remember, I've been at a bunch of brokerages. That first year we started the show, I was on 4 brokerages before I landed at Keller Williams, right? So some of those brokerages had their own listing agreements, and they had their own clauses in there of how you get in or out of contracts, and if there's a penalty that you pay to get out. And a lot of the brokerages, especially the bigger ones, will not let you out of the agreement until the time period ends.
So you might have to just sit and stall and wait.
So this is what happens. I call it holding the person hostage.
Big time.
I don't use that agreement. I use the Florida Realtors Approved Listing Agreement because it's fair to both sides. It's fair to me and it's fair to you. And what it says is you have a right to break the agreement with me if you give me a written notice that you're going to break it. Now, I have the right to agree. My broker, I shouldn't say it's up to, because the listings are with the broker, not with the agent. So the broker is the ultimate decider as to how they want to handle it. But most of the time, most brokers are going to allow the agent to do what they want as long as it's legal. So the agent could actually, or the brokerage could actually hold the seller hostage. Just go, okay, Johnny, so you've been with us for 3 months. We took a 6-month listing. You don't want to work with us anymore? We're just going to put the property temporarily off market until the listing dies, expires, and then you could do whatever you want.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Like that?
That would get me so mad.
Yeah.
That's standard.
That's crazy.
Okay. And
what about on the buy side? So for a buyer
on the
who's
buy
working
side,
with somebody and they're like, man, this guy, I've seen one property in 2 months.
Right. So on the buy side, it's a little easier. With the buyer's agreement, you're saying you're hiring the agent full time to be your agent. So even if you go pecking around on, the Zillows and Trillium and Realtor.coms, or you go to for sale by owner or wherever you're going, or Craigslist, and you're finding properties, the agent has to negotiate it. Or if you go to new construction, agent's supposed to be there, right? But you can get out of that. At least my contract, you can get out of it pretty easily, and there's no cost to it or anything. You just say, I don't want to work with you anymore, Jim, right? Of course, I would be saying, can you explain to me why?
Sure.
And is the customer service got to have done something better?
Well, let me ask you. So I hired you as I'm buying, and I'm just stumbled into somebody and blah blah blah. Oh, my buddy Ross has got a house for sale, and I get with Ross, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to sell this house, and and I'm like, man, I make a deal with him in this conversation, and we're like all on board, and paperwork is going, and I'm doing this without you,
right?
And then I buy this house. What can you do? How do you, as an agent that I have a buyer's agreement with, like, what's your legal?
We actually had a case like that about 4 years ago. So we had this lady, and we found her a house. It took us like 3 months. It was heck, right? And we found her a house, and we also sold a house for her, and we did very well, amazingly well for her on the sale of the home. She had mold in the house. I hired the mold contractors. I helped her hire the mold contractors to remediate the house so it could be sold. She did very well on the price, even after the mold remediation. I couldn't believe the results we got. Even I was surprised, right? Great results. Then when we went to go buy the house, very difficult. And we spent like 3 months. And then finally, we found a house for her, and we negotiated with the agent right there in the driveway. We went back to write up the contract, and then the buyer just disappeared on us, just disappeared. And then we didn't understand what was going on, never took our call again. A few months later, we're comping that same neighborhood for a different person just to comp it. And I was like, hey, I wonder whatever happened to that other house. And we went back and looked at it, and she bought it without us. And then we called the mortgage person that was working with her and said, she bought the house without us. She was in a buyer's agreement. And he said, oh, you found out? I was hoping you weren't going to find out.
You found out.
Well, the mortgage company has a fiduciary duty to the customer, and the customer directed the mortgage company not to talk to us anymore about her.
Sure.
So it wasn't his fault. He wasn't being a jerk, right? He was just complying with the regulations. So her niece got a real estate license just a couple weeks or a couple months before we found that house, and she decided as a favor she was going to give the niece the real estate commission.
But do you have any legal standing?
Yeah, we went after her and we won.
How do you do that? Is that civil?
Well, first you go to mediation or arbitration and you try to get it resolved there, and that's where we got it resolved because it was going to be very expensive for her. And we got our real estate commissions back. It was in the tens of thousands of dollars. It was an expensive home.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that you actually got commissions based on the sale.
Yeah, we got our commissions.
Whoa.
And guess what? The seller didn't pay that commission.
No, the buyer did.
The buyer paid that commission. Yes.
In a normal transaction, the seller would be paying the commissions to the buy side. And in this case, because you had an agreement, a buyer's agreement, and they decided to buy the house without you, the buyer ended up paying full commission on the sale that they decided to cut you out of.
I wonder if she tried to claw it back from her niece.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know
I'm
what,
gonna need that back.
So there is legal standing then.
Well, we had a
you
buyer's
can't just
agreement.
backdoor.
Well, because we had a signed buyer's agreement.
Right.
Now, most agents do not sign buyer's agreements.
Interesting. Seller's agreements only.
Yeah,
Or
because you have to have
agreements.
Yeah, you have to have a listing agreement to get it on the MLS.
And do the buyer's agreements have like a 60-day, 90-day? Like
you could put in a time
date.
period of how long you're going to work with each other. You also put in there the type of property that they're looking for, so they have parameters of what the buyer's looking for. And also in there is whether the mortgage, whether they've gone to a mortgage company and if they're approved or not approved already.
So a lot of this stuff is semi-negotiable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So fascinating. And the legal standing. So it is a civil case that you ended up in, basically.
It was arbitration.
Criminal, right?
Yeah. It was circuit civil.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And they paid
county actually.
And you knew this was a slam dunk because you had the agreement.
We had the agreement. She had no recourse to do what she did.
Fascinating.
Yeah. But I don't like doing that,
No, of
and it
course
wasn't fun. But I
No.
call that my "Don't Be Danny" story.
Don't be Danny.
Don't be Danny. So when I had the buyers signing the buyer's agreement, I give him the "Don't be Danny" story.
This is you're gonna pay.
Beat the ball, Danny. Beat the ball.
It's kind of crazy, right? It is kind of crazy.
You want to do a little reset?
Yes, I didn't know what time it was. So let's do the reset. On the flip side, we're going to talk a little bit about the economy first, and then at the 10 o'clock hour, because this is such good stuff, we got to keep it going.
Awesome.
Because we're going to talk about the insurance stuff. I feel like the world's collapsing, but Ross is like, not so much.
Come on. Just hang on. Ross is he's our floaty. He's our flotation device. That's what it is. We just hang on to Ross.
Save us, Ross.
Save us,
Save
Ross,
us.
please. We got a lot going on this Saturday. You're more than welcome to join us toll free at 877-927-6969. Quick little reset. We'll get to your phone call if you make it. Of course, if you're not comfortable on the radio, I totally understand. I'm not as well. After all these years, still not comfortable at all, which is why I lean on FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. This is access to the entire team. These are pros. We call it your one-stop real estate shop for a reason, because you get the best of the best all in one place. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, Facebook and YouTube as well, but know the .com. Know it, use it, love it, and share it. You can change lives. You can change your life by getting with the pros at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. You got the hotline as well, 888-973-7828. You can call it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, answered by a live body. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. We're back 4 minutes from now. Great to have you with us every Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate, right here, Real Radio.
We're everywhere you need to be. Find your favorite show at realradio921.com.
From the Gordon and Partners Weather Center. Have you or a loved one been injured through no fault of your own? Call 561-333-3333 or go to fortheinjured.com.
I'm meteorologist Jennifer Collins with CBS 12 News. Hot and humid this afternoon with highs in the upper 80s, though feeling like the 90s. We have the chance for a few isolated showers and thunderstorms this afternoon and evening, with the potential for heavy rainfall and frequent lightning. Then partly cloudy, still muggy tonight with lows in the 70s Sunday morning.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's Late Night, open until midnight or later. Wendy's is open until midnight or later, which means all your favorite menu items are up later too. The Baconator still tastes just as juicy and bacony at night. So listen to that craving and turn in for the night at a Wendy's drive-thru. Hours may vary at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rao from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rao will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rao, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Komarinetz, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowner's insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
This is Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7. Real talk for the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
Thank you for making Florida Talk Real Estate part of your Saturday morning routine. It is June 10th, I believe, today.
That would be correct.
Thank you very much. Great to have you with us. Thanks for being with us. You can live stream on a Saturday when we are on the radio. Look, listen on the radio, 92.1, 101.7. Thank you very much. Maybe on your free download, your iHeartRadio app, but we do live stream as well. Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook and Florida Talk Real Estate LLC on YouTube. That's home of a ton of informational chunk videos. Great to have you with us. No matter how you're joining on this Saturday, I'm your boy, Johnny C. 877-927-6969. That's a toll-free number. You got questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate? Want to get involved with the conversation? Dial it up. Our producer extraordinaire, Jimothy, will line you up there. Hey, my brother.
Hello. Good morning. How you doing, Johnny?
Good, buddy. Thank you very much for asking.
Thanks.
Ross Komarinetz is with us on a Saturday. He's also with Brightway Insurance, Juno Beach. Great to have you with us, Ross.
Good to see everybody again.
And Jimmy D is here like pretty much every Saturday for 11 plus years. I've told you, he runs a top producing Keller Williams team at Keller Williams Innovations. You find the Florida Home Pros team in my guy, Jimmy D. Jim DePola, how you be?
Hey, Johnny, thank you so much. I'm doing well.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to the rest of the weekend. I'm going to go show a couple properties right after the show, but after that, I'm shutting it down for the rest of the weekend.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah, I need it. So I wanted to go into what's going on with the economy right now because lots of stuff has been happening. So first of all, let's just go with the interest rates first. So for the last 3 weeks, we've seen an increase of interest rates. We've been going through that trend. I don't know if people remember, but we started the year at 6.48%, right? And we got as high as 6.79, which was last week. That was our high for the year so far. And we had a little bit of a drop right now, which is nice. So we're at 6.71. It's only 0.08%, so it isn't like, I consider that almost flat. But last week we went up almost a quarter point. We went 0.22. Quarter point significant because that's like 2.2% of your purchase power. So we're at least seeing that the rates are kind of stable this year. So far, we're almost halfway through the year, and the price, the interest rates have only been going up and down. Basically, a quarter point basically is the variance right now. So this is a very stable market, and it's really kind of been like that going back to. Wow. Actually, since really November. Since November of last year, that was our peak at 7.08%. But since then, we've been either way under that or a quarter point to 0.3 under that for the year. So this year actually has been not as crazy as last year for buyers.
Last year, as far as the rate, yeah.
Oh my God, it made your head snap every day because you didn't know, you're always looking over your shoulder, wondering if the interest rates are going to beat out your buyer.
Right.
But we're not really going through that. So that's one of the good things that's nice about being about the buyer in this year is that you didn't have to worry about the fluctuations of the interest rates so far. It hasn't been that much of a factor. And the other thing that's been good for the buyers is that even though we have low inventory, and that's why prices are still not crashing or anything like that, is that the buyers do have more time to make decisions in most cases. They don't have to rush and just do whatever the seller wants to do. They can actually negotiate with the seller, decide, do they like this kitchen at this house better than the other kitchen at the other house? And they can make decisions and take a few days, and the house is probably still going to be on the market.
Yeah, in most cases, like you say,
most cases.
we had an example where you had 39 showings and 9 offers. And I mean, in that scenario, you don't have a lot of leisure, right? You don't have a lot of we'll wait and see. In that particular scenario, not the case. But for the most part, in this market, you're holding true, right?
So it isn't as crazy on the mortgage rate, and it's actually not bad for buyers. But the thing buyers got to know, you got to know your numbers. So knowing your numbers isn't just, hey, I'm good for $525,000, and you're walking away with this letter that isn't worth what.
Right.
You really got to know your numbers for real. So it's like, great, Mr. Mortgage Broker or Miss Mortgage Broker, or loan officer, right? So you say I'm good for $525. How much did you budget for my property taxes? Very important, right? How much did you budget for my homeowner's insurance? Very important, right? Oh, did you include anything for an HOA or a condo fee if you're going that way? Very important, because all those things vary. We just had a situation with one of our buyers on the very upper limit of what they could afford, so it's very tough for them, and we really got to know the numbers. We looked at one house for $585 and another house for $585, and one house they could buy and one house they could not buy. They weren't in HOAs, right? They weren't a single family home. They weren't in gated communities or communities that have HOAs, right? So why couldn't they buy the two houses in the same neighborhood? One had a tax bill that was twice the other one. Oof. So one had like $3,500 a year, and the other one was like $7,200 a year. At $7,200 a year, can't afford the house because the taxes are pushing up their mortgage payment too high.
Right. And they're already to their max.
Mm-hmm. So you got to know your numbers. That's the one thing buyers have to know in this market. And if you really know your numbers well, then you could start messing around with the MLS to try to squeak out the best deal you can get for your family based on your budget and the type of things that you need for check marks on your house.
Right.
Location, type of house, things like that. But you really got to know your numbers to do that. So,
FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
Yeah, thank you. So interest rates are flat, guys. So that's the good news. Here's something else that's kind of interesting. According to a bunch of economists, we're in a bull market on Wall Street right now, huh? Okay.
Nobody told my portfolio.
I know, right? So I know. So they're saying that the S&P 500 rallied on Thursday to end in a bull market, meaning that we are 20% above our most recent low. Okay, that's what a bull market is, when you're 20% above your most recent low. So the most recent low was October 12th. So we're 20% above where we were in the stock market for the S&P 500 in October 2012. Most of the gain is by the technology stocks, the same people that have been laying everybody off for months and months and months. But as they were laying people off, we noticed that the stocks went up as that was happening, because, the investors like that they were shedding off costs, right?
Yeah. Profitability is going to go up.
Profitability.
Yeah.
So
nobody wants to work.
So that's what we're seeing. So that's kind of interesting. And then we had this, and I know Johnny's going to want to talk about this. Okay. I'm surprised you didn't see this, because I thought you would be sending me this one. Listen to this headline. I was like, what? Okay. Home foreclosures are rising nationwide, with Florida, California, and Texas in the lead.
Huh.
Uh-oh.
No.
Right? I was like, oh my gosh, that's news, because what have I been saying the last couple of shows?
Yeah.
I know. April, March, we had 1,400 single-family home sales in Palm Beach County. We had 14 short sales and foreclosures out of the 1,400. Only 14 of them that closed were short sales and foreclosures. Last month, April, 1,200 and change single-family homes sold in Palm Beach County. 8 foreclosures and short sales.
It's just not a thing.
So what the heck?
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, got to read this one, because maybe there's stuff here we need to know. So here's what I found interesting about this. So
that one feels super clickbaity.
Well, I'm gonna read the source. It's coming from NBC News. So
Still
take that for where you want it. If you want to feel. And let me see. I'm trying to, and they're getting their information from a company called Atom, ATTOM, which is an industry think tank in a way that analyzes data all the time, and they sell it. They sell that information that they create to big time investment firms and real estate investment trusts and things like that.
Okay.
Right. So it's that's where it's coming from. But this is kind of interesting. Just like Florida, they said Florida had a higher concentration of large metro areas with elevated foreclosure rates. Among the 223 metropolitan statistical areas are large regions that they use to do these analyses. So, for example, our metropolitan statistical area is Dade, Broward, and Palm.
Okay.
Right? That's ours. So that would be, and they call it Miami, but it's really Miami, Dade, Palm when they say the MSA, Metropolitan Statistical Area.
So where all the people are down south.
Yeah. So they said among the 223 MSAs with populations of at least 200,000, those with the highest foreclosure rates in May were Lakeland, Florida. 1 out of every 1,300 homes had a foreclosure filing, right? 1 out of every 1,300. Elkhart, Indiana. That's the number 1 in the country, by the way. Elkhart, no, that is the number 1 in the country. I'm sorry. Elkhart, Indiana, 1 in every 1,600 housing units. Cleveland, 1 in every 1,600. Palm Bay, 1 in every 1,600. And Ocala, 1 in every 1,600.
And these numbers are indicative of foreclosures going up?
Yeah, so that's the interesting part. So, Johnny, so this is what it says. May foreclosure related filings, which include default notices, so not just I'm suing you for foreclosure. That's called a lis pendens, right? At least in Florida. I don't know about other states, but in Florida, it's called lis pendens. So that's where you get served, right? Hey, I'm taking your house away. I'm the bank, right?
So some time's gone by when that's happened.
Yeah, at least 90 days
Yeah.
because you have to be 90 days late. So on the 91st day, the bank's allowed to file the lawsuit against you. But most of them don't in the first 90 days, but they can. Then they also including in this Adam group is also including default notices, right? And scheduled auctions for foreclosures, the ones that are already pretty far gone.
So default
and
notice
bank
would be
repossessions.
the first 30-day missed payment would be a default notice, correct?
Yes, you would get you would start getting notices in your bank saying, hey, you got to make your payment, got to make your payment. Please contact us if you've got a problem. And we always recommend you pick up the phone if you got a problem.
Right.
And talk to your lender. I'm going back to the old days, Johnny, right?
course.
When we were talking about
Don't bury your head in the sand.
Don't bury your head. You got to call your bank and say, hey, I'm having a problem, because they might have a program for you don't even know about. But if you wait too long,
they're not going to offer you anything.
Yeah. If you wait till 6 months and they're about ready to file foreclosure, it's different when you're missing your first payment and you're picking up the phone, go, hey, I got a problem.
Right. I want to stay at my home. Can you help me?
Yeah.
Yep.
So please take that advice, free advice for you guys, and very powerful advice too when you're in trouble. Because the few people that are in trouble that we're going to find out about, it doesn't matter if it's a big rush of foreclosures or just a minor foreclosure. If you're one of the people being foreclosed on or behind your payments, that's a terrible, terrible, lonely existence to be in. People get worried all the time. Think of all the trauma that we saw, Johnny, over the years when we were doing short sales and bankruptcy defense.
Unfortunately, people, we're all really good at filling in the blanks on our own. Like just saying, well, this is probably the way it's going to be. And I think people just assume, well, I don't have the money to make this mortgage payment. What are they going to, like, I'm going to have two that are due. So they just bury their head in the sand thinking it's just going to go away. And the reality is it's not a, it's not a forbearance type situation where you got a big balloon. They're going to work with you. You got to at least try them. You got to pick up the phone and call FloridaTalkRealEstate.com as well. There's, pros that can help you through this stuff.
You don't know how much free advice I give, the team in general, not just me, but everybody on the team. We have all these disciplines there for you, right?
That's right.
So like we find out, back in the day when people's mortgage payments were super high, and this is the good old days, you used to go to Ross and all of a sudden, they were saving $150, $200 a month on their mortgage payment because we did something with their insurance and that got them over the hump. Or we got to Mike and he's like,
good old days, huh?
Yeah, we'd go to, yeah, exactly. The good old days. Oh, we would go to Mike and, talk about refis or HELOCs in order to do stuff, or different programs out there that he knew of that go back to your bank and ask this. Or you come to us so that we can evaluate your home to see what your options are, to determine the value of your home and if you're upside down or how much equity you have, and give you those options. We have the law office of Paola Krasker at our fingertips.
Yep.
That we could call up and get that legal advice you need. You get a free phone call with the law office of Paola Krasker just by calling us up, because we're the one-stop shop.
FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. So it sounds like, based on the numbers you're sharing here, Jim, this Adam group is kind of they're the canary in the coal mine in a way, because they're showing you numbers nationally, right? But even if it's just one missed payment that's flagging this, right, which it appears like is what's happening, the first notice is what's kind of being counted. Those snowball, though, like those are hard for most people that live paycheck to paycheck. There's a reason why they missed that mortgage payment, right? It's hard to kind of get over that hump, and again, easy to bury your head in the sand. This is interesting. It
is. And let me tell you some bigger numbers on this, because I know you'd be interested in this. So check this out. So
this is what there's many people I've talked to over the last couple of years that are waiting to hear foreclosures.
This is what, and I've been saying it's not on the rise, not on the horizon. I'm still kind of leaning in that way, but it is up. So we should talk about it, right? So May foreclosure filings.
We talked about foreclosures are up, right? Just the notices of missed payments.
It's
right?
foreclosure. Yeah, so it's foreclosure related filings, which include default notices, scheduled auctions, meaning that they're already foreclosed and they're set an auction date, and it's going to be sold, and bank repossessions, where the bank has already taken them back.
Sure, they're going to lump them all in, but it sounds like, at least so far, the big predominant number here is the at least notifications.
Well, what they said was, and I'm not sure on that. What they said is they were up 7% from April and 14% year over year, the filings in May, right? So we were up 7% from April to May. We were up 7% for these reported filings, and 14% from a year ago. But when you add it all together for the whole country, there's only 35,000 homes in the whole country that are in some type of foreclosure related issue right now.
Which could simply be the first notification that you missed a payment.
It could be that simple.
Right.
Yeah, it could be that much. So for that little, not on the verge of losing the house right now.
Right.
But 35, just to put in perspective, the United States, we sell about 6 million units a year. That's our average usually, right? Between 5.5 and
nationally
6.1, right? Mm-hmm. Nationally. So we're only talking about 35,000 homes, right? But here's something to think. So I'm flipping it back and forth. It's not so bad. Oh, this is different. Lenders began the foreclosure process on another 23,000 properties in May. Okay, so even though we only have 35 in the system right now, 23,000 more were filed in May. Now that's a big chunk of 35,000, right?
Yeah.
That's what 60 something percent.
Yeah.
So, or maybe even higher than that. So we're going to keep an eye on this and see what's going on. Still don't really believe, they still say foreclosure rates are still below pre-pandemic levels.
Sure.
So we're not even in 2019 foreclosure rate, which was a pretty normal market in 2019. So we're below normal foreclosure rates, but they're going up. So pick your reality, just like I talked to everybody about right now. Pick your reality. We're still way below the average foreclosure rate nationally over the last 20 years, still way below that.
Well, our reality
but
is
we're going up.
You shared the numbers at the beginning of the article was 1,400 units sold, one foreclosure, right? 1,600 units sold, one foreclosure. So our reality, at least in our metropolitan area, is not really happening right now, but we're going to have to keep our eyes.
Yeah, we're just going to have to keep our eyes. We did see the unemployment rate, everybody made no big deal about, but the unemployment rate blipped a little bit up, right? For the first time in 10 months or something like that, right? It blipped up a little bit, or maybe even longer than that.
Which was propped up by self-employed. A lot of self-employed businesses really folding pretty rapidly. Yeah.
Yes. And that could turn into not having enough paychecks. And that turns into don't make your car payment. Don't make your credit card payment. Don't make your car payment. Then it becomes don't make the house payment if you get in trouble.
Right.
Like that. So we're going to just keep an eye on this. My reality is we're not even close to a crash right now. I'm telling you the two things that are going to, the two things I'm keeping an eye on to see if we're going to be going down that real crash, we've gone through recessions many, many times. So I'm talking about a crash.
2008 crash?
Yeah, like that kind of crash. If what we're going to keep a look at is unemployment, how many people are employed. We're super strong employment right now. And also still keep an eye on the interest rates, right? The interest rates. Now, here's one thing that's different about the foreclosure market today than in 2008. We'll just wrap up with this part, is that the big difference is equity.
Equity.
Everybody's got equity, right? I'm watching so many people right now that bought houses between 2015 and 2018 and walking away with crazy amount of equity compared to when we helped them buy that house, right? So
and without improving the home too, I'm guessing in many cases,
right?
They didn't dump tens of $1,000s in to put impact windows and a new roof, and like their equity came from just the market supporting it, right?
I have a couple right now. Yes, exactly. I have a couple right now that went and did a deal in 2020, and they put FHA money down, was 3.5% down, right? No down payment assistance, but they put 3.5% down on their home. That's it. Now it's 2023. We're selling it. We already have it under contract. If it closes at a contracted price, they're walking away with over $250,000 in their pocket to buy the new home.
That's amazing.
Now, when they bought that house, they put like $18,000 down on the home.
That's good ROI, huh?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that there's a lot of people that have extra equity right now, and that's why all these people saying that they feel trapped in their home. It's almost comical because if the market does change negatively, super negatively, they're going to wish that they sold their 2.5% interest rate and had $250,000 that they were transferring over to the new home, than to be in a market where their house is, they're getting a 180, and putting 180 down on the new home instead of the 250.
Well, what matters to them right now is their low interest rate. What will sadly happen is if things shift, like you're potentially could happen. I don't know that it's gonna anytime soon, but potentially could. Then their priority is going to shift at the wrong time, unfortunately.
Yeah. So with the super equity that people have, you have a lot of choices. Like when you go to buy your house, you could put huge down payments to make your new payment not so crazy high that you think it's going to be.
We talked a lot about it last week with Mike. We did. If you missed last week's show, you should check that out.
Yeah, you should go check it out.
YouTube, Facebook. We did get pretty in depth on that and give you a real understanding of how Mike can really hone in on your numbers really easily.
Know your numbers.
Yes.
So don't feel trapped if you have a ton of equity. People don't realize how much equity you have. When I sat down, I had a customer. Listen to this. Last week we were calling. I'll leave off on this. It was kind of funny. Last week we were doing a neighborhood call as part of our marketing for our open houses and stuff, right? Which I have an open house. So I have to talk about at 10 o'clock. And we called. Mava was calling, right? One of my agents, and Mava called. And she found out that this person might want to sell their house out in the acreage area. They needed to do a comp. I checked. She asked me to do the comp. It was the house I sold that person. And I was the listing agent, but I sold that person the house in 2015. So when I checked the equity, he's a person that would, if he sold the house, would be getting over $200,000 in his pocket to buy the new home. He has since got married since he bought that house. The wife feels the house is too small. He's happy with the house, but happy wife, happy life kind of thing. But when we told him that he was looking at 200 plus for the equity in his home, after all the smoke
we need a bigger house.
Yeah, he's like, maybe I will do this now. So now we got him over to Mike to check out his numbers. So there are options out there for people. Don't feel trapped in your home. You probably have way more equity and way more creative choices to deal with that equity, to either make your mortgage payment low with huge down payments, buying down the mortgage payment. What we found out with Mike, though, most of the time is huge down payment on the equity is better than trying to get the reduced mortgage payment.
Right.
Through lower interest rate.
But every situation is like a snowflake. Know your numbers. You can go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. You can make it happen. It's your one-stop real estate shop. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Know it, use it, love it, share it. We'll do a quick reset. We come back. We got insurance to talk about, huh?
If you have a house or a condo and you live in Florida, or a townhome and you live in Florida and you need to have property insurance, you got to check out this next segment.
All right. 4 minutes from now, we get back at it. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. As I always like to remind you, your one-stop real estate shop. Remember, you can find Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook and YouTube, live streaming on a Saturday. Soak up all the videos there on YouTube as well. And share this information with people on your social. Facebook's a great way to do it because you never know who may be really benefiting from you sharing FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Back in 4 minutes. Florida Talk Real Estate right here, Real Radio.
Hi, this is Franny. And this is Megan. We're the hosts of Pillow Talk.
On this week's episode of Pillow Talk with Franny and Megan, I am so excited to hear about Megan's biggest interview thus far in her career. And we talk about a pretty savage revenge story that a woman did on her cheating boyfriend.
Is it the best or worst ever? You be the judge. But we also are going to talk about couples with larger age gaps between them. Is there more trust in the relationship? All of that, and of course, a fresh DM on Pillow Talk with Franny and Megan.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty.
Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rao from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rao will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rao, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Komarinetz, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
From the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys Studios.
Have you been in an accident? Call Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys at 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
Real Radio 92.1 is WZZR West Palm Beach, an iHeartRadio station.
Download the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
Great to have you with us on a Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate. We offer you 2 hours of infotainment every Saturday, and we're about halfway through our promise. Hopefully we're delivering on just that. The Locker Room going to take over at 11 here on Real Radio. Great to have you with us. Remember, we always live stream, not only on the radio, but we have cameras set up in studio. Live stream with us. Find us on Facebook, Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook, and Florida Talk Real Estate LLC on YouTube. You got a lot of chunk informational videos, plus our live stream on a Saturday. Johnny C., that's me. Our producer extraordinaire is Jimothy. How are you, my brother?
Very good, thank you. Good morning.
Jimothy will dial you up there, get you going on the air with your questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate if you dial 877-927-6969. If you're not comfortable on the radio, remember Florida Talk Real Estate is a .com, your one-stop real estate shop. You get a team of pros, experts in their field, like Ross Komarinetz with Brightway Insurance, Juno Beach. How are you, Ross?
I am outstanding.
What did you have there in your hand? If you don't, I know this isn't great radio. What is that? Is that like Shea Stadium or something?
It's actually Fulton County Stadium.
So that's
the old
Atlanta.
home of the Braves. Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool. That must be Franny's.
It says right there.
Oh, it does. Huh, I
Sorry,
guess the big
Franny.
Franny across the top might have given it away.
Sorry
Well,
for touching
you know.
your stuff.
It helps. Well, that's pretty cool. Of course, Jimmy D is with us on a Saturday. That's Jim DePola. Told you for 11 plus years. He runs a top producing Keller Williams team. Keller Williams Innovations. You find the Florida Home Pros team. Jimmy D, how you be?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. We're going to talk about party houses and getting in trouble with the party house down in Miami. But before we do that, we got to get into this insurance stuff because I'm so confused, Ross. So I'm so glad that Ross is here. I got into a little tiff with an agent before we get into the insurance changes. I got in a little tiff with an agent just yesterday talking about one of our houses that we had on the market. He was trying to submit an offer, and he was saying, your roof is 20 years old. It's not going to be insurable, right? Period. And I said, no, I said, well, have you seen the insurance quote that Brightway Insurance has? Because he's like, I don't even know if this house is insurable. And I said, well, we haven't got the house checked out yet, but we have given you a quote that if it's insurable from Brightway Insurance, it's right there, which a lot of agents don't do. And it's really great that Ross is able to do that for us, where we actually put on our listings an insurance quote, a reasonable insurance quote. And Ross isn't backing it 100% because they haven't done anything yet, but it's right there ready to go so that it helps the mortgage broker for the buyer really set their budget. Because
And the
they
quote
kinda
that I'm
know.
giving you isn't like, oh, this is best case scenario
Right.
to sell the house or anything like that. It's based on what we normally see on a wind mitigation report, which doesn't include shutters to make it as cheap as possible, just so you can put it up there. It's just kind of what we expect it to look like, assuming that the 4-point inspection comes back good too.
Sure.
Right. And we don't even talk about that. Nancy just sends over that as soon as we get the listing. Nancy sends it to Ross. Ross doesn't talk to me. He just does it. So you're right, Ross. We're not trying to sway it to make it look better. It is what it is. We put it out there. To me, that's always been the best way to negotiate.
It
We
could
put
get
out-
better or it could get worse.
Could get
too,
worse,
you
could
know?
get better. And we just put it out there and say, this is what. But this person, just because the roof was 20 years old, period, he's like, the house is not going to be insurable. I go, that's just not true. And he goes, I've been doing this for a long time, blah, blah, blah.
You can't tell him. Huh?
Yeah, right. And he was pretty mad. And I
love
was like, and he actually said at one point, he goes, I'm not saying I'm 100% right, but because I don't know for sure. He goes, but you don't know for sure either. And I go, well, that's true, because it's going to depend on the useful life of the roof. And we have to get through that report. But you told me that the house is uninsurable because the roof is 20 years old. That's not true for sure. It could be true depending on the useful life.
Right. It's not because it's 20 years.
Correct.
It's because it's not going to have enough
It could
useful
be
life.
10 years old
Right.
and uninsurable.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So it just so happened that we had one of Ross's people come out to do a useful life that day, and it came out to the 5 years. So we'll see what happens with that. So
it's insurable.
5 years is insurable. So if somebody gets a useful life report that says, or a roof do you call certification or useful life?
So it's going to be indicated on the 4-point inspection, but if you get it done individually, it's just called a roof certification. That indicates the useful life.
Mm-hmm. And right now, what you need is 5 years useful life in order to get citizens insurance. That doesn't mean you can get anybody's insurance company, because other insurance companies,
There's some companies that are offering that. Like I had one, it's a high value on Jupiter Island. I had a company that would quote it, and hey, it does meet our guidelines, but we're going to need a roof certification that shows at least 5 years of useful life. It's a 2005 house with a metal roof. Got it. 18 years of useful life. However, they noticed some repairs that had been done to the metal roof. So they said, nope, we're not going to take it.
Oh,
but it had plenty of useful life with that company.
Wow.
But it's still kind of up to them. It's not a hard line of, it's got 5 years of useful life, we have to take it. Citizens is kind of the other way, where it's like, it's got 5 years we're taking it.
Yeah, they have to take it at that point if it's 5 years or more. Now, when you're the seller and buyer, what you have to understand is just because you have 5 years useful life and you get insurance this year, that doesn't mean next year you're getting an insurance policy. It also doesn't mean you're necessarily going to have to replace your roof. You could do another certification the next year, and as long as the number is 5 or more, you're good for another year. So it gets very complicated. And a lot of times buyers don't want to buy the house if it only has 5 years or 6 years, sometimes even 7 years useful life.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Mm-hmm.
Do these does that get attached to your home? Is that stick to it?
Oh, that's a good point.
So I get certified. They're like, you got 5 years useful life, and then I do it again the next year. Do they see the results from the prior year's certification?
Right. Yeah. So let's say that last year you bought your house. We'll just talk about, or you bought your house this year. It had 5 years of useful life. Now, I think that as long as the roof is under a certain age, they're not going to mess with you until it gets above the age. And I want to say it's 25 years for shingle.
I think you're right, because you've said that before.
Yeah.
On Saturday,
so let's talk about whatever a couple of years ago when it was, or a year ago when it was 3 years, and you had you had a 4-point inspection that said it had 3 years of useful life. So you got a non-renewal for that year, because they can see it only has 3 years of useful life.
Right.
So you'd get a non-renewal for the next year because now it's got 2 years. So if you got another one that said 3 years, it at least got you to the next year. Right. You could have gone three, now it's going to be, once it's over a certain age, now it'll be 5.
Gotcha.
So it's really important that you understand about the whole roof thing if you're buying or selling, and it affects you. And it is a real thing to talk about now. Homeowners insurance is a conversation. We used to always have roof conversations for a very, very long time. But now we're talking about just homeowners insurance in general, because it really can affect the buying power of the customer. And you have to be really careful, sellers out there and buyers, that if you're using an out-of-state mortgage company who doesn't understand Florida's crazy insurance situation compared to the rest of the country, they might not be budgeting the extra money that we pay down here compared to what the national standard costs are across the country or something.
Yeah.
The mortgage companies might not know.
They might just be punching in, $2,000.
Yeah,
in reality,
exactly.
It's
They don't-
4,700.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to be really careful on that. But enough about that. I just wanted to throw that out there about the roofs. Okay, so on the front page of the Palm Beach Post today, one of my old colleagues, John Kennedy, he's up in the Tallahassee Bureau, been up there forever. He and another reporter started front page today talking about, what's the headline? Seasonal residents rates to soar, right? And what it's saying is that non-primary residences can get up to a 50% increase from citizens for their tax bill. And you're right. Of course, Ross is right. This happened in December. I don't know why it's such a big thing now, but I think it's a big thing because
putting a headline out.
Yeah. I think it's because this coming Thursday, they're going to vote on whether citizens has asked for annual increases in their premiums. Is that what's the terminology?
The rate,
The rate.
because the premium includes other things other than the actual rate.
Okay.
And they're hoping to get a potentially double-digit increase, potential 10% increase or more. Is that what they're aiming for? Am I
They're
wrong?
saying 13.1% for primary residents.
Okay.
Well,
That's not-
so 14.2% statewide.
14.
Now,
That's not.
yeah. Now, keep in mind, statutorily, we're all at 13% right now.
Right.
So you can go up 13%.
That's it. That's it.
So even if they prove the 14.2, they're only going to pay 13.
So included in that 14.2 is the people. So let's touch on what we just talked about, that 50%, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's they said anybody who owns a home that is not occupied more than 9 months per year. So that includes rental properties that have primary tenants. So that's it. That's not included in this. So it's only homes that are going to be basically second homes that are not occupied more than 9 months per year.
So this is the part I don't get on that, Ross. Okay. So if you have a tenant in the house or somebody living there, it doesn't have to be a renter necessarily, but somebody's living there 9 months and 1 day.
A tender. Somebody just taking care of the property,
Yeah.
right?
Well, no, it has to be somebody's. So, you could obviously say you have an annual tenant on your vacant property, but if anything happens to that property, Citizens has the right to deny the claim because
it's fraud.
It's vacant. There's no tenant occupying the property. So it's misrepresentation.
But if there's a tenant living there and they're living there 9 months or more a year, that makes them primary.
That's a primary residence.
That's a primary residence for the tenant.
For the tenant.
Okay. That's
so
interesting.
what they're basically saying is, hey, if we're going to say that these are non-primary, or if you want to use the term non-homesteaded homes, that we're going to increase the rates up with that, we have the ability to, by statute, to increase the rates up to 50%. That would mean all people who owned a home that they're renting it out would have a huge increase, which would then be passed down to the renters. So they're, by what they're saying is, oh, no. So if it's a renter occupied property, that is the renter's primary, and it's that home is occupied by, or nine months or more as a primary residence for someone.
So they're going that deep. They're actually going that deep where they're thinking about, if we do raise these rates, then the tenants it's going to pass on to the tenants. It's going to make it more expensive.
That's my thought process.
Right. That's interesting. That's interesting if that's true. So
well, there's a bit of a risk, I guess, increase, right? So on an empty home, if something's going wrong, you might not find out for months, right?
Right. But I mean, usually that's not a big deal. Like if I was quoting Jim and he said, oh, it's going to be my primary residence. And he said, you know what? I don't know. It's going to be my secondary. It's not going to be it's a very small adjustment in rate typically. What they're doing is they're basically saying, hey, Citizens has grown so much and we're statutory limited how much we can increase rates because it's designed to be affordable insurance for the residents of, for Florida people.
A last resort.
Right. So what they're basically saying is like, look, we can't raise it on our constituents, basically, our people who, whatever, this is where they live. They need it to be this low in order to be able to live and exist in our community. But there's some people that can afford a second home. So we're going to kind of raise their rates more than we're allowed to raise.
So, for example, what I'm thinking, I'm like scrolling through my head and I'm thinking downtown, like in Miami with all the high-rise condos, and there's so many vacant condos there that people own as second residences, but they're not renting them out. They're just sitting there doing nothing. Those are the people that would be affected by this new regulation.
Yeah. And it's not like they're going up by 50% automatically. It's just they have, by statute, by that new law, they have the ability to increase it by 50%. Just like statutorily, they can for a resident, it can't go up more than 14%. That doesn't mean that your rate is going to go more than 14%. It still could go down. And you'll see that in some condos in Palm Beach, in condos in Palm Beach County, they're actually going to experience a rate decrease this year.
And then the reason for that?
Just
because of claims and things like that, and the algorithm that they're not getting as many claims.
Well, I mean, one of the things that was a major factor in the reduction or the so before it, the rates should have been about 80% higher or something like that. And if they calculate into what they feel like the effects of that new bill are going to be, which is reduction in litigation and all that, it was able to reduce what the able to reduce what that should have been by like 40% almost.
Yeah. So what they're saying is Citizens is $2 billion upside down in a way. And these changes, this is what I read.
Billion?
With the B, yeah. And the changes that they just did with litigation, which basically doesn't allow homeowners just to sue the insurance company and do it on contingency with their attorney.
Right.
The owner is on the hook for their own attorney fees now to try to get this, the specious lawsuits out of there. So, what they're saying is those changes shaved off 900 million of the 2 billion, and there's still 1.2 billion in the hole, but that's a big chunk, 40%.
Yeah,
you're right on.
Yeah, I mean, it
got to start somewhere.
So in their rate kit, it said that the anticipated savings are going to be the reduction in loss trends for future litigation. So that's going to kind of go away. They can remove the litigation costs when figuring out the non-catastrophe premiums that they charge. And then they're assuming that it's going to, continue. The litigation is going to be low. It's all about the litigation. That's the top 3 out of the 4 factors that went into the rates.
They're
going
to save $900 billion just for attorney's fees.
So
that's where the foreclosures are coming. All those attorneys that
is Citizens in a different position because of the way that their standing is in the state, to where they kind of have to pull back the curtain a little bit more and see the financials like
they
you're
have to
sharing?
disclose it. They have to disclose.
Do all the insurance companies have to?
They have to disclose. I mean, their rates are filed with the state, and you can go in and look at them. But Citizens puts together like an actual.
This is the first time that I've ever felt like an insurance company is kind of validating the claims of the claims. Right? There's the numbers are kind of backing what they were saying. I feel like this is the first time that there's actually like a little see, there's the numbers.
Yeah.
At least from Citizens' perspective.
You're right. Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, they have to, kind of file this, every time they do their rate recommendations and things like that. But nobody cared 3 years ago.
Nobody didn't. The public didn't know.
Yeah. Because we had pretty decent rates.
Yeah. And nobody had a Citizens policy.
Well, true.
Yeah.
They weren't like
nobody. I mean,
they weren't the leading carrier,
people.
Right?
Yeah. So now everybody's just Citizen. So anything that is Citizens related, it just hits that radar,
Sure.
This, they're working on it. Congress, state legislature is working on it, and hopefully this stuff they're working on is going to work the way that they're hoping it is. But this is going to be something that's really going to affect us in South Florida for quite a while. One of the state legislators who passed the anti-litigation stuff, he was like, Rome wasn't built in a day. This is going to take a while even to find out what the effects of the law that we passed. So they're thinking 12 to 18 months from when the law was passed, which was just March, I think.
Yeah, went into effect, and we had all those lawsuits filed that day.
Yeah, we had that 800,000 lawsuits filed in one day. So
quick, get it in.
I know exactly.
Throw that against the wall.
And I'm really thankful. Most hurricane seasons, I don't get too overly concerned. It is what it is, but our water temps in the Atlantic are definitely the highest they've ever been. Thankfully, we're in this El Nino, which might counter it a little bit, but. And we have a rough hurricane season, and I really don't want to have Saturday conversations with Ross because he is not going to be happy.
Yeah, I know.
The news he's going to be sharing if things really hit the fan for us in South Florida is not going to be great.
So what is the best advice for people that are either renewing their policy or buying a new home, not brand new construction, but just buying a new property? Is there any advice for them, or is it just come to us and we're going to give you Citizens pretty much? I mean, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. I mean, most of the time right now it is Citizens. But you got to understand what you're looking at too, because there's so many times people just email, I'll send out a quote and then they'll email me back and be like, can you match this? Sure. You want to take your hurricane deductible from $8,000 to $25,000? They're like, nope. No, I don't. Okay. We'll just go with yours. And you just got, don't just look at the bottom line. If you want me to look at your quote, I will be more than happy to. I won't quote it for you and bother you and send any. If you just said, hey, what do you think of this? I'll be more than happy to take a look at it, because it's frustrating to me to see so many people kind of get screwed in that end as far as high deductibles or reduction in coverages that are important.
Can you imagine the people that don't ask the right questions and they go for the lower number, right? And God forbid it happens.
I think I would think the vast majority just go for the lower number.
$25,000 deductible, and they're like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I know that can happen because I know with people with mortgages all the time, they don't know what they don't know.
Well, you have to compare apples to apples. You do, like Ross said. I can look at what you got. If you're just looking at the bottom line there, the coverage is going to be dramatically different. If you don't understand that, let Ross explain it to you. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
Yeah, and he does it for free, and he's not going to upsell you. He's not there to upsell you. Ross is very laid back. He gives you what the stuff is, and then you make the decision. And whatever you do, he's happy.
I talked a lady out of doing 3 policies with me last week. I talked her out of it.
That sounds like me. I mean, we do that too. Sometimes we do that, right? You talk to her, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really, really kind of crazy. So this insurance stuff is like really a big deal. And if you don't understand what's going on, you got to get educated if you're thinking about buying or selling right now.
And don't be scared
or
by the
renewing.
headlines. Yeah. Don't be scared by the headlines too.
They aren't it isn't as bad sometimes, although I got to be honest with you, it is sticker shock of what we're looking at for pricing compared to 3-4 years ago.
Oh, sure.
It
Absolutely.
is a sticker shock.
Yeah.
My insurance is doubled.
But if you don't mind me cutting in, because I heard people talking about this increase, this 50% increase, and people were panicking. When they made mention about it. Well, now that I see what it is, there's nothing to panic about it.
Well, again,
or at least for the average
14% or 13, whatever the statutory limit is for this calendar year. That's all it's going to go up. It's not going to go up 50% for your house, for the majority of people, you know, but people start getting crazy.
Yeah. So, even the headline in the paper.
Real quick, because as we're talking about things going up, so as the rates potentially increase for Citizens, more and more people that are in Citizens are going to get these. Hey, here's a new company that actually can take more and more of this mail is going to start hitting your mailboxes if you have Citizens, where it's like, hey, here's a company that's going to be, I don't know, $200-$300 less than what Citizens projecting your renewal will be. And you have to, there's some positions where you have to take it.
If they know that there is one, then you have to.
What's that called again?
I mean, you call it the depopulation.
Depopulation, yeah, that's what it was.
But that's going to start more and more as Citizens rates go up. More and more companies, and I know we don't have a ton left in the state, but competitively, the rates will start kind of matching out, I'm guessing, and more of that mail will start hitting the mailboxes.
Right. Right now, average Citizens is 25% less than private carriers on average.
Wow, that is a big freaking number.
And here's something interesting.
And they used to be one of the worst ones.
Right.
That's a last resort.
That's what I'll send people Citizens quote, and they'll be like, I heard Citizens is so expensive. I give me another one. Oh, you want to, instead of paying 6, you want to pay 20? Here you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Here's 20,000. What do we think of Citizens now?
Wild.
You know?
I love Citizens, right? So and as I was reading these stories, I read 3 or 4 of these, and one of them was saying that the intent now for Citizens, because they have way too many people on their rolls, is their goal is to make Citizens more expensive than the other insurers, so that it really becomes the last resort.
So
right?
Yes. So and in that is in some areas, Citizens is more competitive than they need to be. And in the rate filing, part of the rate filing is you can have a negative 10% decrease or up to a 13-14% increase. So if that particular area is they don't need to be that competitive, then what they're not going to have, where they may have qualified to have a decrease, they're not going to have a decrease because they don't want to bring that premium down any less.
It's going to be more competitive.
It's going to be more competitive.
Right.
So that's kind of the way that they're doing it as far as kind of like that goes, where they don't want it to be, at the end of the day, they don't want it to be competitive.
Yeah,
it's
supposed to be the last resort. That's why they called it. And,
right.
And last resort wasn't supposed to mean that it was bad insurance. It was just supposed to be, if you can't get private insurance on the outside, the state will buttress you and shore you up to get insurance so you can get that house.
So you can have insurance.
And it was typically more expensive.
Right.
And so it was, back then it was, a bad thing. You were paying more, and probably, Citizens, you get what you get. You can't make it any better, really can't make it any worse. So the coverage wasn't amazing and you paid more for it. But now it's
cheap,
compared to everybody else.
So they're going to make it more expensive. So this is just going to continue. And this is going to be a year's slog, right? This isn't going to be a light bulb switch, turn on the switch, and everything's going to change.
Are we getting new companies added into Florida that you're seeing though? Are we seeing more and more? Like I saw a headline the other day, State Farm is going to stop in California.
State Farms. There's a lot of companies that are stopping in California right now. California is kind of going through this. Geico stopped offering like auto insurance.
Is that because of the fires and everything out there?
Fires, the reconstruction costs with inflation. Yeah.
That's really interesting because I was just talking to somebody about that and saying, how come we're the only state that has this problem? It's like, what about like the Midwest with the tornadoes or the fires?
Our property values continue to stay high. We'll probably cross those same roads eventually too, where they're like, replacement cost is a little silly in Florida on top of.
Yeah. So they are. So they're going through the pain too, though.
Yeah. Okay. California is, even like Louisiana and Texas are doing a little bit too.
And that's what's kicking up some of their foreclosures.
Yeah, but I bet you they don't have the fraud that we have, right? Because that's what
we're driven by the litigation. The litigation cost.
So it's very, very interesting. What I'm seeing on that is, that could actually, even if the interest rates were okay, or let's say that we stay in traditionally normal interest rates. What people don't know is like right now over the 40-year, it's 7.75. Remember, you used to say 7 to 9%. Well, somebody actually did the 40-year run with all the super low interest rates included in it that we've experienced over the last years.
So it should be higher then.
Well, no, because it brings the average down because we had such a long period of time of low interest rates. So the average.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So the number should be higher because of the artificially low we had for the last.
So now it's only 7.75. So let's just say we hang around 7.5, and that's kind of our average. What I would expect to happen is because of the insurance issues and the cost for insurance, that it might actually be the reason that prices start flattening out or reduce. Like I could see in the future where somebody's trying to sell a house on the intercoastal or near the coast in a flood zone or something. The insurance is just extremely, extremely high. They've had great appreciation over time because it's a super popular area, right? But then there comes to a certain point where the new buyers that are coming in, if you want to sell that place, they're just like, I'm not paying that insurance policy and paying your price. And I can see them starting to negotiate on the price based on insurance policies. We've never really had that before, right? I haven't experienced that as an investor and a real estate guy, in the 15, 18 years I've been doing this.
Right.
So I'm not saying that will happen, but I could see that happening in the future where insurance becomes a deflationary or negative equity on the house in a way where it actually comes down.
I mean, well, hopefully with the changes that were made, what you're talking about won't happen.
Yes.
We're talking into the future right now of, hey, this could happen if, rates continue to rise, but hopefully with what happened in December, that's exactly what won't happen.
It's really going to be amazing to find out if that fix really works, because that's just going to show how much dirty stuff was going on for all these years. It's just going to be like Dirty Town the whole time, right? Because so much money was wasted that was passed on to the homeowners, right? I mean, it wasn't that the insurance company is the only one getting damaged. Everybody was getting damaged.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about that $15 billion paid out in claims that resulted in a lawsuit, and 8% went to fix the property. 71% went to the plaintiff's attorneys.
Lawyer fees. Jeez.
Because did we say it on the show, or did a customer tell me that somebody put on a social media site, hey, if your home was damaged by the hurricane, give me a call. I can get you a free roof and I'll take care of everything myself, right? And what happened on the social media post? I guess it didn't happen. You don't remember that last week?
I don't.
So then what happened was, I guess it was a customer, when they put that out there, the social media trolls just went crazy on that person that was offering the free roof. It's like, you're the reason why our insurance policies are going up. And they just went off on the person that put the post out there. So at least people are starting to understand, that, there is an effect of getting this quote free money.
And and I don't remember I don't know if you guys remember me saying it, is the insurance companies at first were referring to it as social inflation, where people are like, oh, I can get a new roof. Okay, cool. And now it's the opposite. People are like, get away from me. I don't want a new roof.
Yeah.
You're going to make everybody's rates go up.
Yeah.
You know,
I
because
know,
I
it's
talk to
crazy.
people like, yeah, that guy came by and I told him to get off my property, you know?
Mm-hmm. So we're
Isn't it crazy how it shifts so dramatically? Just a short handful of years ago, people were like, hey, I just got a free roof. You should.
Yeah, it's so true. And
then just a couple of years later, they're like, oh, how dare you?
Yeah.
It's like, but you did. What do you
Yep, you did it.
I hate you so
But
much.
now my rates are up because the other guy did it.
And we've gone through so many phases here. I was talking to somebody yesterday, Shane, about gap insurance. Remember, we used to talk about gap insurance.
Yeah.
It's like, get the gap.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I was like, don't get
We
the
didn't
gap.
get any hurricanes. Like, never really. All right. So luckily,
the
you know.
gap insurance was awesome for your house for a while. It was really good savings. Then after a while, Ross analyzes like gap insurance isn't worth it anymore because the prices went up so high for it.
Yeah.
It's like, don't do
It
the gap.
would be like
no
$400.
gap. Yeah.
You know, $400 for the year you could just max out your hurricane deductible, you know?
Yeah. So that was a good plan. But, you know, we've gone through so many changes. And that's what I love about this show is that we always have all the experts and they're telling us what's going on and the changes in the industry so that you can kind of make good decisions for you and your family.
That's right. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, your one-stop real estate shop. Pros at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
We're just going to plow through. Is that okay,
Sure.
Timothy?
Yep. Already set it up.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yes, please.
Great minds think alike or not great minds think alike. Let me see here. I wanted to get into the party house because I thought this was kind of funny. Okay, so somebody bought, let's see, this is in Miami Beach. So Miami Beach is pretty mad because they got this house here and it's actually being sued by the city, not by the residents or something. So it isn't a neighbor dispute. The city is stepping in and saying, you can't do this anymore. So somebody bought property over on Bay Drive. I'm not going to put out the address. And it's an illegal short-term rental. And that's something important to talk about because a lot of people want to do Airbnbs and vacation rental by owner and stuff like that. And what you got to understand is when you're doing that, you really got to check your city and your county ordinances to make sure that where you're operating, it's okay to do that. Don't just think you could buy, even if it's not in a homeowners association or something like that. If you're buying the house, you really need to know what your city and your county is allowing for short-term rentals. These people apparently bought the house, did not care. Now they should care because they've amassed hundreds of thousands of dollars in unpaid fines and code violations now.
Oh.
And it's only started. They bought this thing. What I was surprised is how fast it escalated, right? So they purchased the property for $6.5 million in 2020. It was, I'm using this based on the article I'm reading, which is coming from Channel 6 on South Florida News. They bought it in 2020 for $6.5 million. And then they got a tenant that is renting it out. But that tenant is the one that's doing the short-term rental on the property. And they're getting as much as $7,500 a night for this place.
Oh.
And it's just party central and it's just driving everybody crazy. So the city stepped in and said, hey, you can't do the short-term rental with this house. It's against our regulations and you're causing a nuisance. And there are laws in most cities where if your property is a nuisance, and I've covered this when I used to be a newspaper reporter, that the city could actually foreclose on your house, even if you're current on everything. You're paying your taxes, you're paying your mortgage, you're doing everything. But if you're a nuisance to the community, the city could take your house away, right? They can go through this process and take your house away for a nuisance. It's called nuisance abatement.
Interesting.
And
I don't know if I like that, but interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. And especially when you're covering, I covered a bunch of them and they're kind of interesting. But so let's see. Okay, so apparently they even checked out to see how much the guy was making his mortgage payment is. So the mortgage payment on this property is $84,000 a month. And they're making $7,500 a day for the rental when they're doing it, right? And they've had at least 45 calls since February 8th of 2022. So in less than a year, they're having like a call, every 10 days or something like that, right? And it's fine. Now they're being fined hundreds of thousands of dollars and nobody's responding to anything. Everybody's the owners are just clicking along. They're not responding. So we're going to see what happens. So the party house is going to be in big trouble here. It might not be worth all the money and aggravation they went and did that. So please just be careful if you're thinking about doing short-term rentals to make sure that you know what you're supposed to be doing or what your legal obligations are to the area, or you're going to have a big problem. Right?
You can potentially, it sounds like.
Yeah.
FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. You got to know your numbers. You got to know all the details, especially when it comes to buying a property. Know what you can and can't do with that property. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
I wanted to talk about our open house. I'm sorry everything got so screwed up, but we have an open house on Sunday, which is unusual. We normally do them today. Sunday. We're doing it tomorrow. It's going to be from 1 to 3. I'm sorry. Okay, it's going to be Mava Gachette. She's going to do another great open house for us. She's been doing just fabulous with the open houses she's worked in. We've been getting a lot of people there.
Cool.
This one's going to be at 119 Black Ironwood Drive in Jupiter. And it's going to be from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Please get out there. It's a really great townhome. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath townhome with a 2-car garage, which is really nice when you have a townhome. What I love about this property specifically, it's also very close to the downtown of Jupiter, so you have all the good shopping and entertainment and dining over there. Really close to 95 and the Turnpike, so you can just jet on for if you have to do a commute down to Broward or up north somewhere.
Nice.
For your commute. It's a pretty nice home. It's built in 2015. So it's got impact windows everywhere, impact garage, everything's in good shape on the thing. And the HOA is about $630 a month. And for Jupiter, that's not too bad. That's like right in the ballpark. So please go check out the property if you're interested. Go 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock tomorrow at 119 Black Ironwood Drive in Jupiter.
On the Facebook page?
On the Facebook page.
All
yes,
right.
go on to the Facebook page.
All
Thank
those
you.
details, Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook, again, for the open house on Sunday, 1 to 3 with Mava. Florida Talk Real Estate Facebook page.
So hold on here 1 second.
Remember, Florida Talk Real Estate is a .com, your one-stop real estate shop. You got all the pros, the whole team. You got access to them all at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, and you can get lots to consume on Facebook and YouTube as well. Lots of informational chunk videos for you to consume. Florida Talk Real Estate, LLC on YouTube.
We're going to switch back to the insurance thing because you asked a very important question and about are there any new companies coming into the area? And there was an article last week, which we didn't get to, where 2 insurance companies agreed to take over 26,000 citizens' insurance policies. So yes, there are private companies kind of
one of them's probably
coming in.
Monarch.
If I'm not mistaken, I think you're right. And I think the other one is Slide, but let me check. Slide Insurance Company and Loggerhead Reciprocal.
Oh, Loggerhead.
Loggerhead. Don't you know that? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
So Loggerhead is new. Slide is new. Monarch's been around. Slide took over all of the St. John's policies when St. John's went out of business.
Okay.
And yes, I think that, yes, they took over all the St. John's.
So these
companies, they may have done another one as well.
Are these startups, Ross, or were they previously existing companies that are just getting into Florida?
I don't know too much about Slide just because they took it over. I don't think
I feel like
we may have
Slide
written like
is
one.
new.
Yeah, I think Slide is new. I think Loggerhead is new as well.
Oh.
I don't know how old they are, but I think they're fairly new. They haven't been in Florida before.
Sure, new to Florida.
And Loggerhead took over all of the bankers' policies. There's bankers pulled out of Florida, and Loggerhead. Well, no, they didn't take over all of them. They took over a lot of them.
And then, are they? So they like obligated to reach out to citizens and be like, hey, we have, openings.
So that's the way a lot of the newer companies in Florida build their book of business and grow, is they participate in Citizens Depopulation Program, where they say, hey, we'll take this one and this one. And then Citizen sends out a notice saying, hey, this company is willing to take over your policy at this premium. And here's what Citizens expected renewal is. And so some people who, may be Citizens averse, well, like, oh, a private company will take me, I'll just go with that no matter the premium. And but now if that premium's within 20% of the anticipated Citizens renewal, then you got to go. But that is a way they grow, is by doing the deep participating.
One thing I found interesting years ago, we've been doing this show 11 plus years, Florida Talk Real Estate here on Real Radio. One thing I found interesting was investors having to buy when they were buying properties like in volume. Jim was talking about like they get all these desirable properties, but they also had to buy these like less than desirable properties, right? As part of the bundle. Do the insurance companies kind of have to do the same? So in depopulation with Citizens, like, well, we'll take these and these and these. And then Citizens might be like, you can, but you have to take these too.
I was
like,
just thinking that.
Does that work as well?
I mean, I don't think so. I don't think so, because I don't think anybody would participate in the program if they had to take a bad risk that they would not have written
otherwise.
Right. Yeah. So basically, I think they're going in and saying, hey,
I mean, it's obviously they're going to pay for it, right? Citizens is. It's not like they're giving this huge discounted rate. I mean, you're still paying for the risk that they're taking, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it's not like Citizens is paying them any money. They're just saying, hey,
here,
if you want any of this, you can have it.
It's giving them free leads.
Yeah, it really is.
Free leads.
But Jimmy used the right word, like cherry picking. They're like, oh, I'll take that one, and that one, and that one, and that one, and that one.
Under 10 years. That's under 12
that
years.
seems fair, and that's great for Citizens, because again, they're not built to sustain this kind of policies for sure. That's not their intention. But I just feel like it would be almost like the way it would be, like, yeah, you can cherry pick these, but you got to take these too. Like, we carry a lot of risk with these, and they pay for that risk, but you got to offload these two.
Maybe, but they're going to charge a rate for it.
Yeah, because then eventually after depopulation, all Citizens is holding are all these quote unquote higher risk policies, right?
But in higher risk is either going to be coastal,
okay,
which is what they were designed to originally,
okay,
or older homes, and okay, you've got water damage risk, but your hurricane risk is the exact same thing. Maybe you've got an older roof, but still Citizens is going to require you to show them that your roof is okay to be insured.
Sure.
So higher risk, maybe if, nobody's looked at it in 20 years, but now Citizens is doing an inspection on every property at renewal. So they're going to find out if, hey, you've got damage to that house. You need to show us that it's being repaired, or we're going to cancel you.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any kind of risk with that.
And there's two key points right there that I think are worth mentioning. Again, you said that's what Citizen was designed for, and I guess that's probably the point I'm missing. That's what they're designed to do, is to be holding a bunch of higher risk policies, right? Policies that are hard to get or hard to find. So by design, cherry picking the better ones is kind of putting Citizens back to where they were intended.
Correct.
So it makes a lot of sense. And then the other, did I just lose my second point? I did. I totally just there it went.
Well, I could tell you about.
I saw it.
I could tell you. Right up
that was the point of the day too.
Damn it, we left that.
Had wings too.
We left that door open. Slide is a brand new company. It came out in February 2022. Brand new. It's based in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay Business Journal ranked it as the 2023 best place to work in Tampa. So, it has a good work atmosphere, it says, and it's been around since February 2022. So it's a brand new company.
Yeah.
So, that's
the other point. I got it. It came back to me.
Good.
We're talking Citizens. You talked about how they're going to want someone to come out for all renewals. If you have Citizens, you're going to start seeing this. When your renewals are coming up, you're going to get phone calls. Hey, I need to schedule to come out. I got to do this for Citizens. Ross is not lying to you. It's going to start happening.
Are they going to actually go into the house, Ross?
Sometimes.
Field reps have got your little areas and things. I know a bunch of people that are like, man, I'm getting scammed. I'm like, oh, that's not a scam. They need to come see your home. That's what Citizens is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, everybody that talks about, oh man, Citizens, I don't want to be with them because they're taking on all these places, but they're also doing a lot to mitigate that risk by doing these inspections.
Right. So spending money to make sure they don't.
Yeah, that they don't get zapped later.
Yep.
Yeah.
So are they going to go in and look at the electrical panel to see it's FPE, or
they don't
see
care
if there's polybutylene pipe?
So they'll if they can visibly see the polybutylene pipes, then they'll notate it. But if they're not visible, they're not going to. And typically they're not.
And yeah, it's very rare. Like it may be sometimes in the attic with the main line. But what about the FP or stab lock
They
and
don't.
things like
Citizens doesn't have a breaker box like list.
they
They'll
don't?
accept any breaker box,
Really?
as long as the overall electrical system is in good working order.
Oh, I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
thought,
well, because you'll text me and be like, hey, can I get insurance on this? I'm like, yeah, no problem.
Sure. So now it doesn't matter.
Now you know where I'm going.
Now it doesn't matter anymore.
Right. I mean, it doesn't matter.
If you're doing Citizens.
99% of the time. I think you and I were actually working on somebody you had reached out to us. Yeah. And I know the name. It's Bill is his first name. The 4, I sent quotes. They were great. Then when we got the 4-point, he had a Federal Pacific box. So I was like, sorry, man, we can't go with this carrier. Here's, Citizens is going to be your only thing. And then he sent me a new 4-point that had a different breaker box. So I've submitted that to the carrier and I'm just waiting on them to come back. But Citizens is fine with it. It's the other carriers.
If breaker box, usually, I haven't done one in a while, but usually like $1,500 to $2,100, depending how big the box is usually. Right.
I mean, I don't really know. I've always said maybe like $1,200, $1,500. I don't know though.
Yeah, but let's just say it's $1,500 or $2,000 to put in the new box.
That's what it used to be. It's $5,000.
Yeah, I know,
exactly.
Pretty much. But if you were to replace the box so that you didn't have to get Citizens to get that other policy that you thought you were good for, would it be worth it? Like, do you get a discount or
is there enough savings to make up for it?
Yeah.
Let me see. Like, just for this particular guy, he was paying $4,200, and I think we sent them a quote for $3,200.
Oh.
And so you're going to get better coverage.
Yeah,
at that.
Yeah, in 2 years you got the money back, or sometimes less. You got the money back, so that might be a smart move to go ahead and do it.
Well, and I mean, if we need to replace your breaker panel, there's a reason, right?
Well, supposedly they have aluminum wires in these panels that are connected to the house wires, and it creates a potential fire hazard.
Right.
Sometimes it's because the circuit breakers vibration would like make the wire slip out of the circuit breaker a little bit, and it would arc and create a fire.
Oof.
That's what I've heard. And
I actually, one of my friends
had that
and clients, in their garage, they had
Wow.
a Federal Pacific breaker box, and they got a fire in their garage.
Yeah. So it is
Sketchy.
real. So what insurance companies say is like, look, we know it's grandfathered in for building codes because it was okay when you put it in, but it's not okay for us now.
Right.
And we'd like to replace it. But with Citizens, it doesn't matter anymore. So that's one good. We left on a good, bright note. If you got an FPE or stab lock box now, who cares? Until the house catches on fire.
Yeah, the problem is when you have a brand new roof that qualifies you for a better company, but you got that old box.
That's right.
That's not a problem.
Never mind that.
Man, are we done?
Yeah,
we're pretty
there.
much.
Got
We're wrapping it up.
2.5 minutes left. So.
I don't know why. I'm just biting at the bit to go to look at these two houses today. Yeah, for Juan and Saray. Hopefully, we're going to find their house. They're seller buyers.
Oh, sweet.
So we're selling their house and then rolling right into the new home. We want to do a simultaneous close. We got their house under contract, so now we're trying to find the house they're going to buy.
Oh, that's super cool.
Clock is ticking.
Yeah.
Tick,
that is a
tick,
delicate
tick, tick.
dance. Yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, I can't wait till this one's done because this is going to be a really great story.
Cool.
When it's done, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be a good shout out for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So again, details on the open house tomorrow. This is going to be Sunday, June 11th, and you can find this on Florida Talk Real Estate's Facebook page. Sunday, June 11, 1 to 3.
1 to 3, 119 Black Ironwood Drive in Jupiter.
Perfect. It's a nice townhome, 2-car garage.
Mm-hmm.
And you said it was built in
2015. Impact windows everywhere. House is turnkey, ready to go. Nice and clean. Just had a cleaning service come in and clean the whole thing up.
Sweet.
So ready to go.
Good location. Again, get the details. Florida Talk Real Estate Facebook page. That's Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook for the open house with Mava 1 to 3 on Sunday, June 11. Florida Talk Real Estate is also on YouTube. Florida Talk Real Estate LLC. You can live stream with us on a Saturday. And then there's a ton of videos to consume there. And remember, it's a .com. Most importantly, a .com. Your one-stop real estate shop. You got pros. These are experts in their field. And, man, they work so good together. Have for many years. And the results, well, they're undeniable. The customer service, it's probably the reason that I'm here every Saturday. This team delivers time in and time out, caring about the community, caring about people, caring about your results. And the fact that they're just really good at what they do takes it over the top. Florida, talkrealestate.com. Know it, use it, love it, and share it. Ross Komarinetz, Brightway Insurance, Juno Beach. Have a great weekend, my friend.
You too, Johnny C. And you too, Jim. You too, Jimothy. You too, everybody out there.
Excellent. Enjoy it. And you going to be back with us next Saturday?
I believe so.
All right, good. Promise?
Oh, excellent.
I'll have a little something for you then.
Awesome.
Right, my man. Jimmy D, good luck out there house shopping today.
Thank you, Johnny. I'm looking forward to it. Happy South Florida, everybody. Stay dry.
The Florida Home Pros team leader at Keller Williams Innovations. That's our guy, Jim DePola. Jimothy's going to hang out. We got Joe and Greek. They're going to do some sports, 4 hours worth.
Yeah.
In fact,
got a feeling we might talk about a little bit, basketball is going on, a little hockey's going on.
Yeah, it's a touch.
Might just touch that.
There's a chance. I'm going to listen. Let's find out together.
Yeah.
We'll be back next Saturday. 2 hours of infotainment every Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate. It's right here on Real Radio.